Tell me a little bit about your recent tournaments, your life, how's it going?
I believe everything is going on great, and I've actually recovered from an injury.
Oh,
So I was on a break for about 7 to 8 months. So I
okay.
had an injury in my shoulder, major injury, and then I was just getting back, and then I had severe tonsillitis. I had a surgery 1.5 months ago for the removal of tonsils, and then I am just recovering and coming back. And I played one or two tournaments in the last month, and yeah, I'm just recovering. And I've also got to know that I'm qualified for the Asian Games,
Wonderful.
so I'll be playing a number of tournaments in the next 2 months to prepare myself for the Asian Games. And yeah, everything is going on really
Where is
great.
the Asian Games this time?
It's in Japan.
Japan.
Yeah.
You've been there before?
No, I've never been to Japan so far, so I'm quite excited to be there.
You're playing singles or doubles this time?
I'm playing singles, so we have team events, and I would be playing singles as well.
So tell me a little bit about Indian table tennis in general for people who actually don't have an idea about it. There are a lot of people who just play the sport for fun, but for someone who's really interested about the sport, what do they have to know about the Indian table tennis scene?
So yeah, in our country, table tennis is a sport that is picking up. It's doing phenomenally well since the past couple of years, especially after the 2018 Commonwealth Games, where Manika Batra, Sharat Kamal did extremely well. And the sport has been picking up really fast, and we've been getting good support from the government, from the federation. And I think there's a lot of improvement in terms of sponsorship to athletes. But definitely, there is a lot of things that can improve. And as athletes, I think it's our duty to put in our best efforts and give that performance so that the sport gets the popularity it requires. And especially with leagues like UTT, we have this UTT league that has been happening for the last 5 or 7 years. And especially with these leagues, the sport has been getting a lot of exposure and popularity in our country. There are not many players who take table tennis as a profession yet in our country. So I think with leagues like this and with the performance, there can be many athletes who get inspired and take table tennis as a profession. And believe me, table tennis is an excellent sport. I can say it's really fun to play table tennis, and everyone, irrespective of their age, should try playing this sport.
When did you first pick up the sport?
I started playing at the age of 8. My father used to play table tennis in his childhood days, but he couldn't continue playing the sport professionally because of financial constraints. So initially, he joined my sister. She is 3 years elder to me. He joined her, and looking at her playing the sport, looking at her win medals in tournaments, I was completely inspired, and I wanted to start playing. And as a child, I was quite weak on immunity and strength. So my parents thought, okay, let me also play some sports so that I can gain some strength and immunity. And so that is how I started playing the sport.
Whenever you start playing a tournament, how's the preparation and how is it different from different tournaments?
So I believe a lot on preparing well for the tournament. That gives me the actual confidence when I go into the match. So I try not to focus a lot on the result, because of course result is not in our control. So the preparation for me is of paramount importance. And every tournament requires different kinds of preparation. We play different tournaments in a year. We play about 20 tournaments, about 15 to 20 international tournaments, and 5 to 6 national ranking tournaments. So the preparation differs. It differs according to the opponent, differs according to the conditions of the tournament. um, Whenever we play a tournament in the international level, so we play in a very big stadium with different climatic conditions, so we have to prepare according to it. So yeah, whether it's the match point or whether it's from point zero, I just try to focus on what I have to play and not what the score is at that point of time, because that creates a lot of pressure. And try to stay calm and stay focused at every point of time.
Growing up, did you have any role models when you picked up the sport from the sport?
Initially, when I started playing, it was my sister who was my inspiration. Then, as I grew up, I used to see Sharat Anna, we call him Sharat Anna, playing the sport. He was my role model initially, and there were so many players like Neha Agarwal. And if you ask me about the international circuit, I think Ding Ning was the player whom I used to idolize. And yeah, there were so many players. There's no one player that I want to mention, but there's so many players whom I wanted to become like.
How would you like to celebrate it when you win a point? Like, are you like an aggressive Virat Kohli kind of a person, or are you like a calm Rahul Dravid kind of a person?
I am not at all an aggressive kind of a person. I just try to stay neutral whether I win a point or whether I lose a point. I just try to like to stay neutral and not get depressed if I lose a point, or neither, you know, feel very, very happy about winning a point. I just try to stay neutral and focus on the next point.
When you talk about conditions, playing different tournaments in different conditions, what do you mean by conditions?
So, if you ask me about conditions, we play with different balls. We play on
Okay.
different tables. So, in every tournament, they use different tables, different balls, and the climatic conditions are different, and the size of the stadium. All these are the factors which affect the movement of the ball. So if it's a very small confined place, then the movement of ball is extremely fast. When I
Okay.
play in our academy here in Hyderabad, we play in a very small academy. So the movement of the ball is extremely fast. So we need to be very quick. But when we play in a big stadium, the movement of the ball is extremely slow because of the climate condition, because of the airspace. The ball moves very slow. So we need to get used to that pace of the rally. So that is what I mean by different conditions. And yeah, table tennis is definitely a very quick sport. Wherever we play, we need to be extremely fast on our feet. So physical fitness is extremely important. There are few people who understand that for table tennis we don't need fitness, but that's completely wrong. We need to be very quick. The reflexes have to be very fast, and we need to also have good strength to keep up the rally.
When you played for the first time, was it a state tournament?
Yeah, I think it was a state tournament where I played against a different school. So the very first match was against another school. And then it was an open state ranking tournament which started with school events. So I played with another school, and I don't remember the player, but I was extremely excited and elated to play that match, the
How
very
did you
first
feel after
match.
you won the first game?
Extremely happy. Yeah.
Which school did you go to?
I studied in Rosary Convent High School in
Okay.
Abbots.
Talk to me a little bit about your childhood.
Yeah, so I studied in Rosary Convent High School. And as I said, I picked up the sport at the age of 8. So my sister was my inspiration at that point of time. And I somehow loved playing the sport because I also enjoyed that feeling of winning a match. So I wanted that again and again. As athletes, we always want more and more. And I enjoyed that feeling. And whenever I used to win a prize, my principal used to present it in front of the assembly, during the assembly, in front of the entire school. She used to present it. I somehow loved that feeling. And I also loved playing that sport. And of course, I was just playing it as a hobby at that point of time. I never expected that I would reach this position. Neither did I, nor did my parents. But I think my parents supported me throughout my journey. They always wanted to just see me happy, irrespective of the result. Whatever it is, they want me to see me happy. And as a student, I was quite good at studies. I was a meritorious student. I did well in my 10th, where I scored 9.5 CGPA, and in 12th I scored 96%, and I
Wow.
was the college topper.
Wow.
So actually this kind of created a dilemma and confusion whether I should continue the sport, take the sport as profession, or just go with academics. So it was the same with my sister as well. She was also a meritorious student, and initially, when it was time for my sister to take that decision, in South Indian families, everybody, to be very honest, they feel taking sport is a bit risky.
Yes.
Taking sport as a profession is risky. So
Yeah.
they wanted to choose the safer path. And because she was good in studies, and family, friends, relatives, everybody advised them to go with academics, they took up engineering for her. But yeah, it obviously got very difficult for her, because all of a sudden she had to sit in the college for hours together and study without going for tournaments. And she used to actually see me go out for tournaments, so it was very difficult for her. And kudos to her, she managed it really well. But when it came up to me, my sister was the first one who encouraged me, who told my parents that if she is interested playing, let her play. So thanks to my sister, my coach is Mr. Somnath Ghosh. I've
Yeah.
been training under him for the last 15, 16 years. So my coach, my sister, my parents have encouraged me, and they wanted me to do whatever I was happy doing. So if I wanted to go for studies, they would have encouraged me to do that. Or actually, at the age of probably 16, when I had to choose between BCom, I mean, a professional course, or go with academics, even I was kind of confused. I was in a fix, because I was in top 3 in the national rankings, but somehow, somewhere, I was not very happy, because I wanted to do well in the women category, so that I could get chance to play in this multi-sport events like Commonwealth Games,
Yeah.
Asian Games, Olympic Games. And somehow I was also in a fix about what to do. But then that was the moment when I was offered a job in Reserve Bank of India at the age of 18. And nobody expected this, my relatives, family, because they never thought that a sportsman can earn such a good job. I mean, we considered RBI as a very prestigious institution
Of
and a very
course it is.
prestigious job.
Yeah.
So after getting that job, after getting employed, that was when everybody felt that I had a security and I can full on focus on the sport. And I thought, yeah, I also got a job. Let me also give it a try and do my best in the sport. And later on, if I want to, I can then choose some other part. I was also interested in accounts. So
Okay.
I wanted to do CA, if not table tennis. So I thought, let me give it a try. And then if it doesn't work, then I can choose any other path. So that's how it went with my sporting career.
What are they more happy about at home? You being national number one or getting a job in RBI?
My grandparents are definitely happy about getting the job. We stay with our grandparents, they stay along with
Sweet.
us. So they are really happy about this job. So my parents are extremely happy about both. So I am happy about receiving the Arjuna Award, getting to participate in the Olympics. But I feel this is just the start. I want more and more, as I said.
How does it feel to be national number one?
Since childhood, I actually wanted to become the national champion. So we have 5 national ranking tournaments, and the last one is the national championship, which is the biggest, which is
Okay.
considered as the biggest. We have double the ranking points in that tournament. I won the national ranking tournaments several times in almost all the categories, like sub junior, junior, youth, and senior. But I never became the I never became a national champion in any category until senior, until women category. So I was getting dejected several times because I was India number 1, and towards the end of the year when I had to go to national championships, I never won it. I used to lose in second round or quarterfinals, and I used to feel extremely dejected and depressed. But again, I kept telling myself, that was when support mattered a lot to me. My parents, coaches supported me a lot. And then again, I used to get back to sport, play again, and try my best. And ultimately, it was in the seniors that I became a senior national champion. And I was extremely elated. I was on cloud 9 after that tournament. And then very next year, I again became the senior national champion. So it was 2 consecutive years when I became the national champion, and I'm extremely happy about that achievement.
When you won the national number one, I'm sure you must have met some of your idols who have been in the sport of table tennis, who've been playing for India. How was it meeting them?
Yeah, it was great meeting the idols like Sharatanna and several like Neha Agarwal who played Olympic Games. It was great meeting them. It was a lot. I could learn a lot from them, and especially during the Commonwealth Games, I got to play mixed doubles along with him.
Yes,
So I
yes.
think that was a very great experience I had, because not just because we won the gold, but playing with him taught me several lessons that I could remember and implement in future.
What kind of conversations happen?
I think we are extremely fortunate because our seniors are extremely helpful, and they're always ready to help us and guide us in every way they can.
Nobody
And
rags you?
no, nobody. In table tennis, we don't have that. The
Okay.
seniors are very friendly and very helpful. We don't have this ragging and all of that at all, even in camps and national training centers. So, yeah, they're always ready to help us in any way they can. Even a text message, if we need anything, they are ready to reply. So, I think in that way, we are extremely fortunate about it.
Tell me a little bit about how the rankings, you went from school to state to national. How does that journey happen for someone who picks up this sport? I'm sure most of them who pick up at a very young age, and someone who wants to take up table tennis, who's watching this episode and wants to take up table tennis, how would their journey be?
So, I think the right age to start playing the sport is about 4 or 5 years old. When they are 4 or 5 years, it's the right age to start playing the sport. And they have to be extremely patient. The results don't come overnight. It'll take several years to get the results, expected results. So initially we start with district tournaments, inter-school tournaments, district tournaments, state ranking tournaments, and when we get into the top 5 of state rankings, we get to play the national ranking tournaments, national championships, and then if we are in top 5 national championships, then we get selected into the national team and we play international tournaments. So that is how it goes. So we have many age categories: under 11, under 14, under 17, and then the seniors. So many age categories. So I feel the right age is when they are 4 or 5 years old, and that's how it goes. And as I said, results don't come overnight. It takes time, and physical fitness, mental strength, all these are equally important to play a sport like table tennis.
How do you compare table tennis in India compared to the other countries?
So in table tennis, Asian countries are the best so far. China, Japan, Korea, these are the best countries, and the main dominance is, of course,
China.
China. But in the recent times, there are so many players coming up from different parts of the world who are doing extremely well and defeating the Chinese as well. And even in the men's category, there are so many from France and Germany who are also coming up there. They're in top 5 in the world rankings. So, yeah, if you ask me, China is the top, who also gets a number of Olympic medals, so they are on the top. And India is also doing quite well in the recent times. We have also defeated world number 1, world number 2, especially in the women category. If I'm not wrong, in 2024 in the World Championships, we were so close to beating China. So I think times are changing. We are also doing really well, and we also have that chance to get there.
How do you compare India and China with respect to table tennis?
In China, table tennis is like a culture. They enroll children at the age of 4 or 5 into sports schools, and after that, their life completely revolves around the sport. At the age of 4 or 5, just imagine playing every day, staying in that school, staying in that environment 24 hours. So it's completely like a culture. They don't have anything else, no other avocation other than playing table tennis. And the kind of infrastructure they have, everything. I've been to China, and once I've been to a sports school where I saw almost 100 tables on one floor and about 800 to 1000 kids playing there. So I think you have to just be there to understand the kind of discipline, attitude they have, and they have a set kind of rules with regard to eating, with the discipline they have. I mean, it's unimaginable at that age to follow that kind of routine. So it's their ecosystem, everything completely revolves around table tennis. And if you see India, we have been doing phenomenally well since the past couple of years. And I think with the kind of support we are receiving now, I am confident that in the next couple of years, we have that chance, 100% possibility to get there. But I think the major difference is we need to have that shift in mindset and not consider sport as risky and take it as a profession. And I believe major change will also come when there are a number of school children taking part into sport, when there is a lot of awareness among them about what table tennis really is, and what it takes to be a table tennis player. So I think major difference comes from that grassroots level. And when you see a number of players getting into the sport, automatically there will be a lot of support coming in, a lot of money coming into the sport, and eventually there will be a lot of visibility, and the athletes will also get that kind of exposure and training. And there'll be many coaches coming forward to train those kids. I think all these will help in getting there.
When you meet these people or the players from China or Japan or any other Asian countries, do you guys go meet, talk, discuss anything about the sport?
Not really, we don't get that much time to talk, because when we are in a competition, we are in that competitive zone, and we hardly get time to interact a lot. So we just prepare for our matches, play our game, and it's just sometimes we spare with them. I mean, we ask partners to train before the matches, but we don't really get to interact a lot or share any opinions. But believe me, everybody is really good, very friendly. All the players are friendly, and we have a very friendly environment even in the tournaments. And it's only during the UTT league that happens in India that the foreigners come in, we get to train with them, we get to share our opinions. So I think UTT is a great platform to learn a lot for us athletes.
Any particular player that you've always looked up to?
No one in particular, but of course, I admire the kind of mental strength these Chinese have. They're extremely strong. The level they maintain in every tournament is so good. Their consistency is so good. You need a lot of mental strength to be able to maintain that kind of consistency in every tournament. So not one player in particular, but yeah.
Table tennis is a very fast sport, right? So, how much time do you get between each point?
It's just few seconds. Yeah.
Seconds, right? What happens mentally when you are playing the sport?
Yeah, as you said, table tennis is a very fast sport. We hardly get to think in between points. And there is a lot that goes within our mind. We might be thinking about the point that we lost or the point that we won, the previous point. But it's extremely important to just stay in the present moment and focus on what we have to play in the very next point. Sometimes we tend to think about the result of the match. Sometimes that creates a lot of pressure. So I believe in staying in the present moment and getting my focus back to my breath. That helps me to stay in that moment and focus. And yeah, that I think that's the key. It's just staying in the present and thinking about what we have to play the very next point.
When you meet players in a particular tournament, who do you think are the most aggressive?
There are several players like this. Every player has their own style, their own way of celebrating, or their own way of strategizing. But there are many of them. If I have to give an example, Sunning Shah is a player who's extremely aggressive, I feel. I played against her for the first time during the Olympic Games in the round of 16, and I found her to be extremely aggressive, not in terms of celebrating, but in the game, the way she thinks. I really admire her for that kind of mental strength. So there are several players who have that kind of attitude, who are quite aggressive. After they win the point, they celebrate a lot. Like if I have to mention Bernadette Zox from Romania, she
Okay.
celebrates really well. Hannah Goda. So there are few players who celebrate a lot after they win a point. Probably some players like to cheer themselves up a lot so that they get that feel of being
Being in the
fast.
zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it depends on player to player.
You've played multiple tournaments, Asian Games, Olympics. What's your favorite?
If
When
I
did you
have
have the best experience?
um, the first experience is the best. So my first games was Commonwealth Games, and it was completely a different feeling. And I also won a gold in Commonwealth Games, so it was a different experience there.
Which
And
year was this?
it was in 2022.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in the year
Okay.
2022. That was my first Commonwealth Games, first multi sport event. And I was extremely confident, and the preparation went on really well before the tournament. And wanted to win a medal in that tournament. And it was first my singles match. And I lost a very close match against then world number three. She was from Singapore. It in the semi-finals, and then also in the bronze medal match I lost in the deciders, a very close match. And I was so dejected after that match, and I was weeping for about 2 3 hours. And in the next 4 hours I had my mixed doubles finals. So I cannot forget that experience. I just came out, and of course my coach, my mental trainer was also there, and somehow I got out of that feeling. And I just kept telling myself that I have one more opportunity left, I have one more match left, and I just want to play as if that's going to be the last match of my career. I'll give my heart out, I'll play everything there, and let's see. The result is of course not in my hands, but I kept telling myself that the previous match shouldn't affect the other match. Every match is a new game. It's so that's how I came out of that feeling. And I ended up playing flawless in the finals. I was so flawless, and we ultimately won the gold medal in the mixed doubles event. So it was a great experience. Also pairing up with Sharatanna, it was a great learning and a great experience.
When you talk about a mental trainer, what actually goes behind or what actually happens with a mental trainer?
So I work with a mental trainer. I've been working with her for the past 3 to 4 years. And as I said, mental strength is equally important in table tennis because it helps us to stay focused. It helps us to stay in the present moment. There are few mental training exercises like breathing exercises, visualization. So all these exercises helps us to stay in the present moment and focus. And the most important learning for me was to deal with a failure. I used to take a lot of time to come out of that feeling of losing a match. As a child, it used to take days together for me. I used to keep weeping that I lost a particular tournament, but because of mental training, eventually I learned how to handle it and come out of that feeling. So yeah, I think it's of great importance to be mentally strong as a player.
Do you guys follow any exercises or mental drills that you guys do?
Yeah, as I said, breathing exercises, visualization, meditation, all these help us to stay focused. And I personally love doing yoga and meditation. So all these have helped me stay calm and composed during the match.
After you won the Commonwealth gold, when they give you the medal, you stand on the podium and you sing the national anthem.
Yeah.
How does it feel?
I can't express that feeling in words because that is the moment we yearn for as athletes. And I couldn't imagine myself standing there, and of course that's my goal and aim. And when I got to experience it, I can't express it in words. I mean, that feeling is so good. You have goosebumps all over.
Priceless.
And yeah, and it's so tempting. I want that feeling again and again. So great experience.
And
Sing
you
is
won
just
it with Sharadana as well.
yes. So that was the mixed doubles event, and we both were there on the podium singing the national anthem, seeing our flag going high. So it was a great moment.
What does the national flag mean to you?
I mean, I can't express it in words. When you see the flag and when you sing the national anthem, the kind of experience, the kind of feeling you have at that point of time is priceless, and you just feel on top of cloud nine, and you feel you can give everything for that. You can put in your heart and soul to get there, to experience that moment and again and again. And actually that also keeps motivating me. When I feel dejected, when I go through a rough patch, I always recollect those moments, and I imagine myself standing there looking at the flag and singing the national anthem. That feeling actually motivates me to keep working hard and keep moving forward.
How does a normal day in Srija's life look when there is a tournament and when there is no tournament that you're playing?
I think it's almost the same for me, even if there's a tournament or no. My day starts at around 6 o'clock in the morning. I wake up at 5:30, and then I go for training at 6:30, and I play for about 3 hours, and then I take a break for 2 hours or for a lunch break, and then I go for my fitness at 2 o'clock. It goes until 3:34, and then again I'm back on the table at 4:35, and I play until 8 o'clock, and then I get back home at around 9 p.m. in the night. So the entire day is filled with physical fitness and training on the table. So that's how my day goes. Even if there's a tournament, it's the same schedule with or without a tournament. And if we do have off days, like Sunday is off and Saturday evening is an off day. So during off days, I just try to spend the time with my family, because I hardly get to spend time with them. I'm almost traveling for most part of the year. I am traveling for tournaments and training camps. So when I'm at home, I just try to spend time with them.
Who's your biggest cheerleader at home apart from your sister?
My parents, I can say, my
Both of
father and
them
mother, both
equally?
of them, yeah.
So, do you play with them often? With your dad or with your sister?
No, my sister currently she stays in the US.
Okay,
So after getting married, she shifted to US,
nice.
but she's always there for me. I can say over I make a phone call, whatever it is, she's always there for me, though she's physically very far. And my father is and my parents are working actually, so they don't find time to come to the academy and play with me, but they're always there with me. They always support me.
Who would you play a lot during childhood? Uncle or your sister?
My sister, as I said, my father was working. He couldn't find much time, but somehow he used to take out time to drop us and pick us up from the academy. But otherwise, it was my sister.
Who would win most of the times? You or her?
She was a lot more experienced. She used to win most of the times.
Nice.
And then by the time I actually picked up really fast, she stopped playing. I mean, she just used to play school, college tournaments and corporate tournaments.
After Commonwealth, when was Olympics in your life?
So I participated in Olympics in 2024, the Paris
Okay.
Olympics. I can say that that was also a great experience for me, that I can cherish. The very first Olympics, the feeling is special once you enter the village, and that atmosphere itself is so exciting and thrilling. And before the Olympic Games, everybody kept telling me that once you enter the arena, once you enter the court, you feel that it's completely different, and you have to get used to that feeling. It takes time to get used to it. So everybody kept telling me about it so much that when I went to the games, I didn't feel anything like that. Though it was special and all, maybe because I kept telling myself that it's going to be the same sport that I'm playing, the same opponents that I've met earlier. So, what is so special about that when you get into the court? Of course, the environment, everything will make it feel so special. But I constantly kept telling myself that my only focus is to implement my game and focus on myself rather than think about the environment or what tournament I am playing, whom I am playing against. So I think that helped me a lot when I went into the games, when I played my very first match. And I won two matches. I played the round of 16. So no Indian has reached round of 16. It was the first Olympics where Manika Batra and myself played the round of 16.
Okay.
And being the very first Olympics for me, it was really good feeling that I played the round of 16 there, and I could actually play my game without getting intimidated by the environment and by the opponent. I could actually implement what I wanted to. So I feel extremely happy when I recollect about that tournament.
Do you have a favorite game in your life or a favorite opponent?
No, nothing as such, nothing in
Who do you
particular.
like winning against the most?
Of course, it'll be the world number one. If I win against the world number one, I'll be really happy.
Who's the world number one right now?
Sunning Shah.
Okay, she's from China.
She's from China.
There was one incident from your life that we were researching about. You've been the first chief guest to a school, and one of the teacher actually asked you to go and sit
Oh
with the
yeah.
kids.
That
How
was very
how did it
funny.
feel being the chief guest?
So yeah, I don't remember which school it was, but I was extremely happy to get there as a chief guest. And I was also a bit scared because that was my very first time. And when I entered, no, the teachers didn't expect me to be there at that time. And probably they didn't know, or I don't know. They thought I was a school student and they asked me to sit along with the students. And I didn't know what to do, and I just went and sat along with them. And then they called my father asking where I was. He said that she's already reached, she might have been there already. And then they kept searching where's the chief guest. They the principal kept searching for me, and probably that teacher didn't know who I was. And then they saw I was sitting there among children. I was chit chatting with them, and then they completely apologized to me and asked me to get onto the stage. But okay, it was a great experience to actually get there, be an inspiration to so many young children, be there as a chief guest, distribute prizes. I think it was one of the cherishable moments for me so far.
You've trained under Sir Somnath Ghosh for
Yes.
around 15 years.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about his role in your career.
So 15 years playing under one coach is not very common.
Yes.
So the kind of bonding we share is so great, and he's been working, he's been putting his heart and soul into helping me develop my game. And I can say that, yeah, of course, it was my parents and my coach who has always been there with me and worked very hard along with me. He he has sacrificed so many in his life for the sake of my career and my game. I'm extremely grateful to him for whatever he has done for me so far.
Do coaches travel with you guys when you go for tournaments like Commonwealth or Olympics?
So usually federation or government takes us to tournaments and they appoint one or two Indian coaches, the team coaches who go along with the players. So when we get to play in these multi-sport events, our coach doesn't get to travel because the federation decides on who has to travel. But the individual tournaments, when we play these WTT tournaments, the regular international tournaments, that's when we can take our coach, but it will be on our own expense.
Okay.
The federation or government doesn't help us to take the personal coaches. So he's my personal coach. So if I want to take him along, then I have to bear his expenses. But in the recent times, the top scheme has been helping me a lot, and also I'm sponsored by Go Sports Foundation. They also support me a lot. So these extra expenditure, like if I want my coach to travel along with me, are often taken care of by them.
When you travel to other countries, the government takes care of all the travel.
The government has a fixed budget. These are called ACTC tournaments, which are taken care of by the federation. So maybe around 5 or 6 tournaments in a year are taken care of by the federation, and the rest of the tournaments is on us. If we want to improve our world ranking, if we want to get into the team, we have to play tournaments on our own. So it's only 5 6 tournaments. The number differs depending on the budget. Apart from world championship and official tournaments like this, we get to play 5 or 6 tournaments which are funded by the federation. The rest of the tournaments is on us. So if we have sponsor or if we are into this top scheme, they help us for some tournaments, and the rest of them we have to play on our own expenditure. It's our own expenditure.
How's the culture that you've mentioned in terms of playing your own by your own to improve your rankings? Is it the same even in the rest of the Asian countries as well?
Every country has their own rules. I am not really aware about the rule in every country, but it the sport has got expensive in the recent times. So to play one international tournament in seniors, it takes about 2 to 3 lakhs. So
Okay.
yeah, it's quite expensive, and every country has their own rule. They also have some rules where they will sponsor only a fixed number of tournaments, and the rest of them the players have to play on their own. I'm not very sure about the Asian countries and a particular country, but I'm sure that every government, every federation has their own set of rules and regulations they have to follow. So yeah.
If you had to make any change in a particular rule so that you can make sure the sport picks up even more and a lot more kids take up the sport, what would it be?
This is a difficult question, but I think the federation and government have been doing their bit. They have been encouraging and supporting the sport extremely well, and there has been a lot of improvement in table tennis, particularly. But if you ask me, I think there can be a lot of improvement in terms of um, supporting the grassroots level players. That is where many players get into the sport, and they choose whether to take the sport as profession. And we can see many when we can see many players getting into the sport, then we can expect players becoming world number 1, playing against the competing against the best in the world, and automatically there'll be a lot of visibility for the sport. There'll be a lot of money coming into the sport, many sponsors willing to help the players. So I think grassroots level is the main area where there can be a lot of improvement. There is a lot of improvement now currently, and there can be a lot more in the future. And one more thing is with regard to academies. Also, there can be a lot of improvement in terms of support to the academies, not just athletes. Athletes, of course, needs a lot of support, but also to run an academy, I think there can be a lot of support. My coach here, if I have to mention about an example, my coach has been struggling a lot actually to run the academy, to expand his academy, because he aims to become like Gopi Chand and to have a big academy, many players, and produce world champions, Olympic champions. But the kind of support he's receiving is not sufficient. He's been facing a lot of challenges with regard to that. So I feel support to academies is also extremely essential.
How much would it cost to run an academy?
If you ask me, for per month the expenditure which my coach is incurring is around 2 lakhs to run the academy.
Okay.
So it depends on the number of players you have. There are several factors. So it can be on an average 2 lakhs per month.
When you go to a specific tournament, your rackets, all of that, Is it called a racket?
Yeah, it's called a racket.
And do they sponsor these or do you have to get them yourself?
So every player has different sponsors. It depends on their ranking. It's it's not mandatory to have a sponsorship. So if any company wants to sponsor, there are few table tennis brands like Stiga, Butterfly, Jula, who comes forward and sponsors this equipment to players, but it's not mandatory. There are few players who have it and there are few who don't have it. The ones who don't have it have to purchase it on their own. So each racket costs up to 40,000 because it's a blade and two rubbers on either side, a black and a red rubber. So the entire cost of each racket is about 40,000, and the racket wears out very fast. It depends on the quality of the rubbers. So the blade remains and we keep changing the rubbers on top of it. So sometimes it wears out in about 3 days, sometimes 1 week. It also depends on the quality of the rubber and how much we train. So the more we train, the faster it wears out. So we need to remove it and paste a new rubber. So yeah,
Whenever you start playing a particular game in a specific tournament, would you like to have a used rubber or a new rubber?
I like to have a new rubber on my forehand. On my backhand is a defensive rubber. So I use a pimple, it's called a pimple rubber. On my backhand, it's a defensive rubber, and forehand is an offensive rubber. So for backhand, like to have a used rubber because I feel it gives me a better control. But for forehand, I like to have a new rubber because it gives me better speed and good quality.
What's the difference in colors like black and red?
There's not much difference in the quality. It's just we need to have different color on either side.
Having played multiple tournaments, there are times when you lose to a particular player multiple times, and that could affect you mentally. And how much of it affects you on the identity aspect of you as a player?
I believe, honestly, losing to a same opponent repeatedly is one of the biggest challenge in sport, because that is when a lot of fear, a lot of self doubt about our game arise. But it's extremely important to believe in our confidence, to have that self belief, and just introspect on what is going wrong, and then trying to make major challenge major or minor differences whatever we can. And it's not about changing our entire game plan, or we shouldn't focus so much on the identity aspect and all of it, but just try to watch the videos of the matches, introspect, and just try to make the changes whatever is required. I think that will help us overcome that. And whenever we go into the next match against the same opponent, it's paramount to remember that the current match doesn't have to do anything with the previous match. Every match is a new match, and we just have to be patient in implementing our strategy and just give out our best.
What is a specific kind of a particular game plan or a philosophy that you follow when approaching any game?
The most important aspect for me is to be able to play, be fearless and play my game. Of course, before a match, we feel jittery, we feel the nerves, we feel butterflies in my. I do feel butterflies in my tummy, but it's important for me to just stay focused and be able to implement what I have strategized, be able to listen to what the coach is saying and try to implement it rather than overthink and think too much about the result. So that is how I usually approach every match. And I believe that whatever is going on with me is the best that can happen to me. So I just try to focus whatever is in my control and do my best.
So you've beat the world number two, Wang Yidi,
Yes.
in
Yes.
2024.
2024. Yes.
How was that match?
Yes. So that was the first time India played such a close match against China, Indian women team. And my teammate Ahika Mukherjee beat the world number one just before my match. She beat Sunning Shah. and we were all extremely excited. We never imagined that we could get so close. Of course, we had the goal of winning that match, but the way it went, we were extremely excited, and we all share a really good bonding in the team. And when it came up to me, when I had the chance to play my single against Wang Yidi, I just thought that I just want to give my best, whatever it is. I don't care about the result, but already I was so excited. This team score was 1-1, and if I win the match, it'll be 2-1. We lead 2-1. And getting into the match, I didn't think about all of that, but I was excited and I just wanted to play my best. And yeah, I think I did it all for my team.
Even in this sport, when you keep playing tournaments without breaks and you have multiple tournaments on the go, there are also chances of injuries that you guys are prone to.
Exactly.
When a certain injury happens, how much of that takes a toll mentally?
It's quite exciting to play so many tournaments, to travel so much, to meet different people. But at the same time, it also gets quite hectic. Sometimes we tend to feel it's getting too monotonous, and we kind of feel lonely at some times, especially when things don't go our way, and still we need to keep playing back to back tournaments, travel a lot. And despite all of this, we sometimes face some major injuries which is not in our control, and that is when we feel lonely and dejected. But I think that is when support is extremely important, and I consider myself extremely fortunate because I have always had that backing and support from my family, and my coach. The entire team always supports me a lot. So it is my coach, my team, and my family that I fall back upon whenever I feel lonely or whenever I feel dejected. Recently, I've been going through a rough patch with injury that has been coming up again and again, but I think my physio, my trainer, my coach, everybody has helped me a lot to come out of it. And yeah, that's whom I fall back upon.
What's more harder, training the body or training the mind?
I feel training the mind is much harder than training the body, because training the body is like, the more effort you put in, the stronger you get. But training the mind is not very easy. It takes a lot. You need to be extremely strong mentally. You should have that confidence no matter what is going on in your life. You should have that self belief and confidence, and it's not easy to maintain that all the time.
TT is one such sport where women get equal opportunity as men,
Yeah.
right? Are you guys treated differently?
Not at all. Not at all. In table tennis, we are not treated any different, and there's no disparity between men and women. We are really fortunate.
And when you guys play mixed doubles, and how does that happen? How do you get to choose players?
It's not a lottery sort of a thing. Now that we have a head coach, Mr. Massimo was our head coach. So he's the one who usually decides on our pairing. So we try out with different players, and once we feel that that we are extremely comfortable with a particular player, that is how we decide, and we try to continue playing with that player for a few tournaments, and we see if it's going on well. And if it's going on well, we continue playing with them. So the coach decides, and we try out different partners to see whom we are comfortable playing with.
You won the Arjuna Award.
Yes.
How was that experience?
That was that was one of the biggest goals I wanted to achieve. And yeah, I'm extremely happy about receiving the prestigious Arjuna Award, and my family was also extremely happy about it. It was a great feeling to be there to receive the award from our honorable president. And yeah, I'm extremely happy about that achievement.
You also met the most powerful man in India, the Prime Minister.
Yes, of
How was
course.
that feeling?
It was a great feeling actually. Interacting with players immediately after a tournament is it was so nice to actually meet him, share our experiences. I also got to talk to him. It was a great experience. I never expected that I could meet our prime minister and talk to him, but I found it so nice. It was so nice of him. He was extremely friendly. We didn't feel that we were talking to our prime minister. It was as if we were talking to someone, some friend. So it was a very good and a jovial conversation with him.
Any other memorable experiences throughout your entire career that you've had?
There are so many of them, and I think the support that my family has given me, the sacrifices they have made to help me reach this position is just phenomenal. I think they never have had any vacations or holidays, and they missed so many family get-togethers and so many weddings they couldn't attend because their first priority was my training, my schedule, my health. So I'm extremely grateful to them for whatever they have done for me, my parents, and especially my sister. Though she couldn't continue the sport, she has always helped me and supported me to pursue my goals. And as I said, my grandparents, everybody has taken a lot of care about my career. And I'm extremely grateful to my family and my coach for all that they have done for me. I also remember an instance where my father met with an accident and he had a major surgery in his knee. I was very young. Myself and my sister was so young at that time, and everybody were like, we had many tournaments and he had to take bed rest for about 6 months.
Oh my God.
So my parents would travel along with us for any tournament, state ranking tournaments, but those 6 months they couldn't travel, and if we don't play any tournaments we would lose our ranking and it would be difficult to get back again. But at that point of time they did not give up. They have made a decision to send me and my sister along with the academy teammates, and we just went. But that was a very challenging decision. As a south Indian family, it was not easy to take that decision to send your kids despite facing a major surgery and all of that. Because I think that was a memory that I would cherish even today. That was such a challenging decision for them to take, but we went there, we took part in the tournament, we did so well there, and that was one memory. And also my in childhood, to meet the expenditure, it was quite difficult for my parents with the growing expenditure. So another major decision they took was to shift to private sector from government sector. That was also not an easy decision in our family because government job is considered extremely safe. But that was also a major decision that they took to help us pursue our career in sport. So these are the memories I would always cherish and be grateful about.
When you play a particular tournament and come back and win medals, most often than not, you don't get the support that you deserve or even the accolades that you deserve. And have you ever gotten into rooms where you had to introduce yourself as the national number one player for table tennis?
As I said, table tennis in our country is a sport that's picking up. It's not very popular, but it is getting some popularity in the recent times. But yeah, there have been instances where I had to introduce myself, but I don't really feel bad about it because I know the reality. I know that it's still picking up. It takes time. In our country, it definitely we need to be patient to get that visibility and popularity. I think as a whole, table tennis is not a very popular sport because if you ask anybody, they're not aware about the ranking system or they're not aware about the point system in table tennis. So I think to get there it will definitely take time. We need to be patient, but I'm definitely sure with the kind of support we are getting now and with the kind of visibility we are getting now, it'll get better and better in the future.
Every sports person, how many ever tournaments they play, how many ever higher rankings they get to, there's an end one day to
Of
all of
course,
this.
yes.
Does that ever bother you or have you ever thought about it?
To be honest, the life of an active sports person is quite short. Of course, in the back of the mind, few players have that fear. Everybody has their own goal, and they have that fear as to whether they can achieve that goal or not in their active sporting career. But I believe that it's extremely important to have that self confidence that we can achieve the goal. Of course, end of the day, result is not in our control, but I think having that self confidence is the most important um, mindset. It basically is our mindset. We should have that confidence that we can achieve our goal. And I feel injury is one of the biggest threat. Now, sometimes we may face injuries, and that is when this kind of fear sets in, whether we can continue the sport, whether we can get back to the sport in the same intensity or not. But of course, it's not in our control. What we can do is just put in our best efforts. And I think the efforts put in by an athlete is what is commendable and is what matters the most, and not the accolades or results. So, our focus should be only on what effort we put in and not what accolades we reach. And I think that can, to a great extent, remove the fear of ending our career.
I hope a lot more women watch this episode because it's absolutely incredible to see someone from Hyderabad being the national number one. And anyone who's watching this episode want to get into sport, but their parents want their kids to take a safer path. Would you like to tell something to the parents who are watching this on behalf of the kids so that after watching what you say, they might change their mind?
My only suggestion to all the parents is to encourage their kids to pursue their own goals. Everybody has their own goals to pursue. So, my only suggestion is to encourage them to pursue their goals, to encourage them to try out in the first place, to try out what they are good at, and to support them in every way possible, and not expect the results immediately. Results will definitely take time. The main focus should just be on the process of achieving the goal and not the end result, and not be impatient with that. So that's my only advice to the parents. And to all the kids and young girls out there, I would just advise you to be fearless, try out, and work hard. And discipline is the most important thing. I believe a lot in working hard and staying disciplined. So that is what my advice would be. And the biggest distraction or diversion, I would say, is comparison. We shouldn't compare ourselves with anybody else, because every individual is different. And that was the mistake I used to make as a child. I would compare myself with others. So I think comparison brings in a lot of self doubt and all of that. So I think we shouldn't compare ourselves with others, and just try and focus on our own self and believe in our own abilities.
What do you feel are your strengths in terms of shot making or gameplay?
Okay, so if you ask me about my game, I think the biggest strength is my forehand. I have a defensive rubber on the backhand side and an offensive rubber on forehand. So I like to be extremely aggressive with my forehand. And that is my biggest strength, which took a lot of time to develop. It developed over many years, took a lot of hard work and lot of practice to develop that skill. And mentally, I feel that I can stay very calm at any point of time, whatever the score is. I feel I can maintain my composure, my calmness, and stay in the present moment. So I think these two are the biggest strengths I have.
I want to give you a few scenarios. Yeah. And
Okay.
I want your answers based on that. One scenario is you're playing an Olympic final
Okay.
and you're on deuce, same points, 10 each, and You're playing the world number one, hypothetically.
Okay.
You're playing the world number one, and you get a chance to smash, or you get a chance to still run the game and wait for the opponent to make a mistake. What would you choose? Smash or make the opponent to make a mistake?
I would definitely choose to smash. I want to seize the opportunity, capitalize on it, and I would choose to smash at that point of time.
Even on deuce?
Yeah, even on deuce, whatever the score is, I feel that's my game and I want to implement it at any point of time.
Second scenario is you're the national head coach of
Okay.
Indian table tennis,
Okay.
and you see an under 15 prodigy who's been again either to a Commonwealth final or a Nation game final or an Olympic final, basically a final match. Yeah.
Okay.
What was the first thing that you would tell her or him before entering the game?
I would just suggest her to play her game and not get intimidated by the opponent or the environment. And my only suggestion was to be fearless and play your game. That's it.
How do you mentally hype them up?
I think I would constantly keep reminding the player only about her strengths and not about the weaknesses. I would remind her after every game during the match, I would remind her about the strengths and what she is doing well at. So I think that would also help her to have that confidence and belief. And yeah, that's what I would do.
And the last scenario.
Okay.
Say, for instance, you are the sports minister of India.
Okay.
What would you like to do and implement with respect to table tennis and sport in general?
Probably I would put in a lot of importance, give a lot of importance to the grassroots level to bring in the first place, to bringing more and more youngsters to play the sport. And then once there are a lot of players, automatically you need more infrastructure, you need good coaches. I would also not only focus on athletes, but I think coaches is also to focus on coaches is also very important. They should also have some financial backing. They should also feel that okay, if I am into coaching, I can run my family. They should have that feeling. So I would bring in dedicated coaches and build in good infrastructure facilities and provide the necessary support they need to play more number of international tournaments, to take them to train abroad to get that exposure, to play with different kinds of players. When we try to play with same players, it's a lot different. When we try to play with other players, then we understand so many different things about our own game. So it's important to play with different kinds of sparring partners and different players, so that they get that exposure. So these are all the aspects I would focus on, and automatically there will be a lot of visibility for the sport, and there'll be a lot of money coming in. Many corporates would want to automatically support the players. And actually we are also very fortunate to get government jobs. I think that has already been going on well, and I would continue, striving for this government jobs. I would help the athletes get government jobs.
How much has UTT as a league helped the sport of table tennis in India?
I believe UTT has been doing a great job because the sport in our country got a lot of exposure, a lot of popularity because of UTT. And even as athletes, we've had great experiences playing this league because there are many foreign players, good players coming in. So we get to train with them, we get to share our experiences, share our inputs about the game. So it was great learning for us, and also for the young generation who come out there and watch matches and see their idols playing. It's a great inspiration for them as well. So I think for the whole sport, UTT has been doing really well.
If India has to compare Indian coaches with foreign coaches, have you seen any big differences in terms of coaching with respect to table tennis?
No, I feel there's not much difference. Technically, Indian coaches are very good. They really advise us the correct points when we play a game. They're extremely good. I feel there's not much difference. Only difference is that Indian coaches also have to manage their financial aspects. They have to work. They have some government job. They have their own job, so they cannot just dedicate their entire life in coaching. They cannot just do coaching their entire life because they don't get those rewards. They financially it won't be sufficient for them. So the only difference is there are no dedicated coaches in our country who are just there for table tennis. So I think if coaches also get that kind of support, then there will be many coaches and who come forward and help the team grow.
We look at just the medals aspect of the sport, and we look at that only when certain tournaments happen, like Commonwealth, Asian Games, or Olympics. What happens behind the scenes?
I think everything just goes beyond the scenes. It's just the medals and the accolades that everybody get to see. But the hard work, the sleepless nights, the effort we put in each and every day, despite going through a rough patch, that is what goes behind the scenes. And I think every athlete, it's not just about a table tennis player. Every athlete puts in their heart and soul. For an athlete, it's just their sport. That's their entire world. They give everything to achieve their goal, and that's what goes behind the scene. The discipline, the hard work, and the effort they put in is what matters the most to an athlete.
On a yearly basis, how many tournaments do you actually play? And what does a calendar year look like for you?
So we play up to roughly on an average 15 to 20, 15 to 18 international tournaments, and apart from that also 5 to 6 domestic tournaments. It completely depends on us how many we play, but these are the average number of tournaments we play in a year. And apart from this, we also attend the training camps, national training camps before any big events like the Commonwealth Games or World Championship or any multi sport events.
What actually happens in a national training camp?
So it's just the regular training. So we all get together, the entire team gets together in one center, and we train together. We do our physical fitness. We play under the head coach, and there are a few other assistant coaches who guide us. And yeah, it's just the regular training, but we all get to play with each other in one place.
When you go abroad to train along with international players, what's the actual difference between the national and international training?
There's no major difference between the training between domestic and international training. The only difference is we get to train with different players. So every player has their own style, so we get to play with different styles, and that helps us to understand our game even better. That's the only difference. And it also helps us to acclimatize ourselves to different climatic conditions and play in those circumstances and play in those conditions.
And you've played in multiple countries, right? Where does the crowd support the most? In which country?
The most is in China. I have not seen such crowd any in any part of the world. Most is in China.
And do they get rowdy?
No, no, no. The crowd is extremely decent and they're very good. They don't get rowdy. I have never seen that.
So we have a rapid fire, the
Okay.
last round that we
Okay.
wanted to make sure we have a few answers from you. One player, dead or alive, you'd want to match against.
Ding ding.
What's more fun, morning training or evening training?
Evening training.
One athlete from any sport, Indian or international, you're a fan of,
Sachin Tendulkar.
and why do you like him?
He's extremely humble off the sport. In the sport, I mean, he's the best, of course, but off the court, he's so humble and I love the way he carries himself. Yeah.
Have you had a chance to meet him?
No, I never got a chance to meet him so far.
Have you ever met any other Indian athletes?
Yeah, I did meet PV Sindhu, Neeraj Chopra in these multi sport games. We get to stay in the same village. So that's when I got to meet them.
How was the experience?
Great experience, great source of inspiration. I mean, they are the greatest athletes of our India, of our country. So, great experience, and I was happy to meet them.
What conversations happen?
Not many, because actually during a tournament we don't get to interact a lot, because everybody has their own schedules and everybody is extremely busy with their own game. So it's only maybe in the dining hall that we get to take some photo or just say hi, hello, how are you, what about your matches. And I remember an interaction with Neeraj Chopra. That was the first time I met him, and he I just asked him for a photograph, and then after that he was like, all the best, you kids are our future generation. He thought that I was younger to him. We were of the same age. He was like, you kids are the next generation. That was funny, but yeah, this is what happens.
Are you like a switch on and off player, or are you always switched on when you go to a certain tournament?
Most of the times I'm switched on, but there can be some instances where I am not at my 100% during a tournament, because it's not easy to be there and execute that level in every tournament we play, because we keep playing so many tournaments. We get tired, but most of the times I try to be very active. But there are also instances where I felt kind of switched off.
Singles or doubles, which is more fun to play?
Fun, if you ask me, it's doubles.
Talent or repetition, which is bigger, which is the biggest factor amongst both of these?
Talent.
One record you'd love to break before you retire?
I would love to win the Olympic gold. In table tennis, there's no one from our country. So
One song you listen to on repeat before going to a match?
before a match, I don't listen to songs, but otherwise, I usually don't listen to movie songs. I love listening to bhajans.
Wow.
So I regularly listen to bhajans, and I love going to bhajans and sing bhajans.
First thing you do after a big win?
Call my coach if Call my coach and my parents. Yeah.
Do you have any superstitions?
No, before any match, I don't have any superstition as such.
One thing about Chinese training methods you wish India had?
The kind of attitude they have, the routine they follow, the discipline they have with regard to everything, not just playing, but from the time they wake up, what they eat, how they do it, all of this matters a lot, not just on the court but off the court as well. I think that is the kind of discipline every athlete should have.
One food you can't travel without?
I can travel
Without
without anything.
anything.
Yeah.
Favorite city you've played a tournament in?
There's no favorite city, but I like playing in Spain, in Sweden, European countries. Yeah.
Anything special about them?
Nothing special about it, but somehow I like the atmosphere. I like the relaxed nature of people there, and it's not hectic. It doesn't seem to be very hectic there.
If you could steal one shot from any player on tour, whose would it be?
Sanisha's forehand topspin.
Best piece of advice Somnath Ghosh has ever given you in 10 words or less?
There are so many advices that he's given me, but best piece of advice is to keep enjoying the sport. Sometimes I tend to get extremely deep in the sport and I don't come out of it. Then he always keeps reminding me that sport is just a part of our life. Just enjoy the sport and don't take it too seriously. Yeah. I think many of them advise this to me.
On that note, I would like to say on behalf of everyone watching this that thank you for everything that you've done for the sport and for the country. And may you get to do a lot more things without any injuries, any issues that you have to face. And May you just keep growing higher and higher and higher and achieve everything that you want and break every possible record there is in table tennis. And all the best for all your future matches. And thank you for doing this.
Thank you so much. It was a great conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.